Welcome to Rooted in Purpose with Donna, a podcast designed to help you grow beyond your stuck potential through faith, leadership, legacy, and growth. Because some of the most powerful growth in life happens underground. Now let's grow together. Hey friends, welcome back to Rooted in Purpose. I'm Donna, and I am so blessed that you're spending time with me today. Today's episode is one that I believe has the power to shift somebody from dreaming into moving, because we are talking about faith in action. Not just believing or hoping or praying for, but actually moving forward in faith. And honestly, I think so many people are carrying beautiful purpose inside of them, but they're stuck standing still. They have ideas and dreams and callings and vision and leadership and creativity, healing and growth, but fear, overthinking, comparison, and uncertainty keep them frozen. And I understand that deeply because I've lived through seasons where I have felt afraid to move too. But one thing that I've learned, purpose grows through participation. And sometimes the greatest breakthrough in our lives happen after we finally decide to move. You know, one of the hardest things for many people is waiting until they feel fully ready before they begin. But honestly, most of the time, you're never going to feel fully ready. If I would have waited until I felt perfectly qualified or confident or prepared, I probably would have never stepped into many of the things that have changed my life. And I think sometimes we imagine purpose looking huge from the very beginning, but often purpose begins with one small act of obedience, one step, one yes, one decision, one uncomfortable move forward. And here's something that I've learned. You cannot steer a parked car. Movement matters. God can guide movement and redirect movement and grow movement, but fear wants to keep you standing still. Sometimes I think people assume impact only comes from big platforms and big opportunities or big moments, but some of the most meaningful impact in my life has happened quietly. It happens in everyday obedience. It happens in the moments that nobody sees, encouraging someone when you're tired, showing kindness when life feels heavy, continuing to serve when nobody notices, praying for someone privately, showing up consistently, being dependable, choosing integrity and choosing grace, choosing faith even in the difficult seasons. All of that matters. And I think we underestimate how powerful ordinary faithfulness really is. Because the truth is, most people will never fully know the impact that they've had on others. Sometimes your kindness keeps somebody going. Sometimes your words plant seeds. Sometimes your example gives someone courage. And sometimes your consistency becomes someone else's inspiration. And you may never even realize it. I've had moments where someone came up to me and shared something that I said months or years earlier that encouraged them. Honestly, many times I didn't even remember saying it. That's what ripple effects look like. Impact travels farther than we even realize. And I think that this is important because many people are delaying purpose while waiting for some giant moment. Meanwhile, purpose is already happening in the way they live every single day. Purpose is not only found in the stages and titles, it's found in your faithfulness. It's found in how you treat people and how you love people and how you encourage people and how you just continue showing up. And honestly, some of the most impactful people in this world are people whose names may never ever become famous, but their lives changed people around them every single day. That matters deeply. So if you've been feeling unseen or unimportant or like small actions don't matter, I want you to hear this very clearly. They do matter, more than you will ever know. I think one of the greatest lies people believe is that small things don't matter, but they absolutely do. One encouraging conversation can change somebody's life. One opportunity can shift someone's future. One prayer or introduction or one act of kindness, one moment of obedience. Small things matter. Honestly, most impact begins quietly, before anybody notices or recognizes. Impact often begins long before influence becomes visible. And I think about that in my own journey. There were seasons where I was simply serving, learning, showing up, helping people, building relationships, and growing quietly. And over time, those small, faithful actions created larger opportunities. That's how growth works. Roots grow underground long before fruit becomes visible. So what keeps people stuck? A lot of the times it's fear of failure and rejection. We've talked about this before. Even fear of looking foolish and not being enough, starting over, and fear of just being disappointing. Sometimes it's perfections. People wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect confidence, and the perfect circumstances. For perfection keeps many people trapped. And comparison can do the same thing. You start looking around wondering why are they further ahead, and why does their journey look easier than mine, and why don't I feel as qualified? But your journey was never supposed to look exactly like someone else's. Your assignment is unique. And one of the biggest things that I've learned is that clarity often comes after movement, not before. Sometimes the next step becomes visible only after you take the current one. And I really want to pause for a moment and speak directly to the person listening today who feels stuck. Maybe you've been carrying something inside of you for years. Maybe it's a dream or a business idea. Maybe you have a calling on your life and ministry is ahead of you. Maybe you have creativity, a gift. Maybe it's leadership abilities or desire just to help others. But fear has convinced you to stay small. Friend, you do not need to have your entire future figured out before you begin. You simply need to be willing to take the next step. And maybe today that next step is making the call or starting the application or launching the idea, writing the post, recording the video, joining the group, going back to school, starting over, or simply believing again. Whatever it is, move. Movement matters. Faith moves, faith trusts, faith obeys, even before all the details are visible. You know, I truly believe there are some people listening today who are standing at the edge of a new season, and you can feel it. You know there's more inside of you. You know there's growth ahead, and you know that there's purpose waiting. But the unknown feels intimidating, and I understand that. I am sitting in D.C. right now, walking in purpose, and I'm doing it without feeling like I am enough. But I'm doing it by steps after steps after steps of faith. And I understand that you feel things intimidating you. But I also know this. Some of the greatest things in my life started with uncomfortable obedience. Not certainty, not perfection, not guaranteed outcomes, just willingness. And maybe your willingness to move is connected to somebody else's breakthrough too. Because impact is rarely only about us. The life you touch, the encouragement you give, the leadership you provide, and the example that you become, it creates ripple effects far beyond what you can currently see. I hope today's episode encouraged you to stop waiting for perfect conditions before moving forward. Purpose requires movement. Growth requires action, and faith often looks like taking the next step before you have every answer. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, I would absolutely love for you to share it with someone who may need this reminder. And don't forget to follow the podcast so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep growing, keep moving forward in faith. This is Donna Barbier. Stay rooted in purpose. Thank you for spending this time with me today on Rooted in Purpose. If this episode encouraged you, share it with someone who may need the reminder that growth is still happening, even in the hidden seasons. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so we can continue growing together every week. And until next time, keep growing through every season you're planted in.